A couple of housekeeping announcements before we jump into today's programming. A little bit about the Health and Wellness Committee. So we actively promote physical, mental, and spiritual well-being here within the congregation at Shandon Methodist Church. And this is the first of 3 installments of our Summer of Soul series. Today we will be dealing with nourishing the body and feeding the soul. Next Sunday, we will be covering Seasoned with Love, Grandparenting in Modern Times, and that will be with Carolyn and Jim Fields, Margaret and John Hayes, thank you. My screenshot cut off the last minute. And Deborah and Charlie Roundtree, and that will be moderated by Carla Graff. And then on the 26th of July, it will be The Science of Spirituality and Sleep, and that will be with Heather Phelps and Reverend Maggie, and then that will be moderated by Cal Watson. But today, we are here with 2 very special people in my life. Cara Davis is my mom. Y'all might remember her from our time here at Shandon, where my dad was the associate pastor here of assimilation and discipleship back in my middle school days. That was 2005 or 6 to 2009 and 10. And then we were with Kay Macinnis, who is a licensed dietitian here in Columbia. But Kay's sons went to high school with me, and Will Macinnis, her younger son, and I have gone back a long time. And went to the Fireflies game, saw the Bombers win this weekend, which was exciting. So, Kay, Cara, we'll take it away. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning. Well, I'm Kay Macinnis, and the way we're going to do this is I'm going to talk for a little bit, and then Cara's going to talk, and then hopefully we'll get to answer questions. Now, there's some of you guys that know me, and I do like to talk. This is like my favorite subject to talk about. So y'all may have to stop me, right? And I think this is Cara's favorite topic to talk about. So we could probably come all 3 sessions, but it's super exciting that for you guys to invite us, and we're so glad to be here. And we both have written a few notes, old school, no PowerPoints. So I just want to say that your mom was right. She said eating healthy was the foundation of a healthy life. And here we are. This is where we're coming back to. So just a little bit about me. I'm gonna move my plates over here. I don't like to be stationary. I see some cameras back there, right? I try not to ever go anywhere without 1 or 2 visuals, just because I'm a visual learner. So I have been doing this 40 years, you guys, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say that out loud, that it's been 40 years that I've been in that world of nutrition. But lots of things have changed. Lots of things have stayed the same. So it is confusing for me when I go on Instagram and look, I'm like, oh my God, right? Oh my goodness, what do I do? So currently I teach diabetes, and God led me to this path. I worked at Providence for over, 34 years, and then COVID hit. And then they furloughed me. And then my buddies over at Lexington Medical called and said, hey, we heard you were home. Get over here. We've got some diabetes patients that need to be taught. And then, lo and behold, both of my boys, Bayless and Will, their wives were pregnant, and I wanted to be at home so I could take care of my grandbabies, right? And so God opened the door, and I'm now at Laurel Incrin 2 days a week, and I take care of my grandbabies the rest of the week, and I love it, right? It is such a blessing, but I love being over at Laurel. My message over there to my patients that have diabetes is, this is not what you take away, this is what you add. And I actually have a t-shirt that says, if it tastes good, spit it out. I used to wear that. I used to wear that when I worked in cardiac rehab, right? Because that is what all of my doctors and all of my patients, by the time they got to me, they're like, no, we can't eat that. It tastes good. And I'm like, okay, let's back this train up, right? So, we've come a long way. It's very confusing. Have y'all paid attention to the sea oil conversation? I'm a dietitian, y'all. I have to have continuing education every year. I have so much stuff that I have to do clinically, right? I can't tell you what to do, what not to do. I'm so confused with that. So my takeaway message is, what's been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years? Olive oil. What do we need to be doing? Olive oil. So again, right? And I tell my patients, in the world that I currently live in, there's 3 words that I love to talk about: simplicity, sustainability, and consistency. And so if you can think about your nutrition in that realm, it's really going to make a big difference and impact your health. And at the end of the day, that's what we really want you guys to do, is to impact your health. And this is God's temple. And so we need to be mindful of the things that we put into the temple, right? So let's talk about South Carolina for just a minute, just so we can kind of get a little report card and see where we are, right? A third of the adults in South Carolina have high blood pressure. Number one cause in of death and heart disease, right? 1 in 3 adults in South Carolina have at least 2 chronic conditions. That's kind of scary, right? Over 35% of us are carrying more weight than we need. Here's a biggie. 28%, almost a third of us get no exercise in, right? And I know my message is always about eating healthy, but there's some other things that you guys are going to get a conversation on that, right? So let me just talk about some of these for just a few seconds, right? Okay, Cara, jump in anytime you want to.
Do your thing.
Okay. So the American Heart Association diet, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's, arthritis, cancers, all inflammatory disease processes. So you get a paper cut, you can see that paper cut, right? You can see that cut. That little red ring around that paper cut is inflammation. We can't see the inflammation on the inside of our body, but we know that it's there, right? Because we're having all the complications and we see all the outward signs, and ring-a-ding-ding, we call the doctor, right? So our main goal is to kind of decrease that inflammation. So I love to use, and I've worked with some really talented chefs, right? And so one of the things, I'm gonna put this microphone down for a minute, right? So it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, guys, which diet I'm talking about. I call this the plate map. They call it the plate method is the official term for it, but I like to call it the plate map because it doesn't matter what the plate looks like. If you guys invite me to your house, if you guys come to my house, we go to a restaurant, we get the meal to take home in that little white clamshell that's a square. At the end, if you look in that clamshell, it's got one big section, 2 little sections. If I'm having a plate, whether it's a big plate or a little plate, half filled with vegetables, quarter with some kind of carbohydrate, quarter with some kind of protein, okay? Now, what I learned from my chefs is, can y'all see the inner ring, right? This one's got the design, this one's plain, you can see that inner ring. I just brought this one just because, but you can still see there's an inner ring, right? You can see the indentation. You can see that line. Every plate's different, right? They all have different designs. So when you're in culinary school, the way the chefs are taught is they're taught to plate that food on the inside of that inner circle. I love that as a guide, right? It's a great guide to tell you what the portion sizes should look like. If we can control the portion sizes, we can control our weight, right? And it's not that we need to weigh when we graduated from high school, but we all do need to probably work on a small amount of weight loss. And, just trying to make those decisions. And how many times a day do I need a dessert, right? I call those a sweet treat. Do we need one 3 times a day? Mm-mm. And the sugar-sweetened beverages, right? That wine and a salad called sweet tea, right? If I could have made one change on y'all, if I knew my time was up tomorrow, I'd be over to McAllister's and get me an IV line with some sweet tea. We're talking about an addict over here, right? Mm-hmm. So now when I roll in, they're like, you want your tea? And I'm like, yes, please. Unsweet. It took me a long time to get there, but if you can make one change, just do one thing that we talk about today, it's, stepping away from that sweet tea, stepping away from those sugar-sweetened beverages. What causes inflammation? What drives it the highest? Sugar, the sugar-sweet stuff, right? Whether it's molasses, whether it's honey, whether it's white sugar, brown sugar, pink sugar, yellow sugar. It's painful for me to say. I have a sweet tea, right? But it's the sugar that drives the inflammation. So if you guys, those are the 2 things that, How do we know that this is really where we need to be going? As I said, I've been doing this over 40 years, right? And the American Heart Association has recently updated their guidelines. No more than 6 teaspoons of sugar for a female, no more than 9 teaspoons of sugar if you're a male. Sorry, ladies. Guys can handle a little bit more.
Per meal.
Per day. So I love it when my patients come in. I do teach the gestational diabetes class every Wednesday. It's always young women, right? They'll roll in with big old Starbucks to a class that we're going to talk about not having so much sugar, right? So, or they'll roll in with that sugar. They always are mindful to say, it's sugar-free. And I'm like, right? So the sugar-free stuff is not as healthy as we've been led to believe either, right? So the sugar-free stuff, it tricks the brain. Something sweet comes in, the mouth sends a message to the brain, and the brain says, ooh, something sweet's coming in. I'm getting a sweet treat. Well, the sweet treat doesn't get there. So what do? We go to the kitchen, or we go to the snack shop, or we'll stop on the way home and pick up something. So we end up taking in more than we really need to be taking in. So the American Heart Association guidelines, kind of real quick. Be careful with your red meat. You want to stay away from the saturated fats. You really want more of those unsaturated fats in there. Lots of color, lots of vegetables, lots of fruit. Limit your sweets. Y'all, alcohol. Let's talk about it for a sec, right? I've got girlfriends that think a bottle of red wine is what they need because it's good for their heart every day. Right? So, a little bit of red wine can fit into that Mediterranean diet. I love that Mediterranean diet. It bleeds into the Heart Association diet. Let's talk about the DASH diet first. The DASH diet is dietary approaches to stop hypertension. Pretty much the same thing as the American Heart Association diet. They do recommend limiting the sodium to somewhere between 1,500 milligrams to 2,300 milligrams, right? 1 teaspoon is 2,000 milligrams. So just to give you an idea, right? Start turning some of the packages over and looking at how much salt we're taking, right? And just beginning to back off. So easy step there is try to buy your vegetables fresh frozen, not with the creamy sauces on there. Those of us that love a casserole, we probably don't need to do so many casseroles because that's an easy way to get more salt in. So trying to back off on that. And then Southern cooking, right? If you cook Southern style, we probably need to make some modifications there. The other big thing that changes with the DASH diet is they want to add a little bit of calcium, a little bit of dairy products in there. Again, what's the takeaway message? Probably need to be doing the non-fat or the low fat. So y'all think about your children and your grandchildren. We're at school and we got that little half pint of milk on our tray. That's got 2 pats of butter in there. The low fat has 1 pat of butter in there, and the no fat has 0 pats of butter in there. So a combination. Now, there's some young people in this audience, so let me just say, if you have babies at home under the age of 2, you need whole milk. Once they move from whole milk, you can step down to that, a low-fat milk. If you guys come home with me and you open the refrigerator, I'm pretty transparent about what I do as far as nutrition. You'll find skim milk because I love the way it tastes, right? Sometimes you will find whole milk in there. If I'm buying whole milk, I'm buying like the whole milk in the glass container from a dairy, right? That's going to spoil. One thing that I really pay attention to is how come my food doesn't spoil, right? Now, you older folks, we remember when a loaf of bread would grow penicillin. I had a 39-year-old in class on Wednesday, and she said, what do you mean bread spoils? And I'm like, yes, it should grow penicillin, right? I purposefully have left a loaf of bread on the counter for like weeks and weeks and weeks, and it doesn't grow anything. I bought some of that organic milk, and I can leave it in my refrigerator for a month. And I'm like, it should be bad, right? It should spoil. So not everything. You still have to be in charge, guys. You still are the quarterbacks. You're still making the calls. You got to read past some of the labels and some of the marketing that they put out there with the food and the nutrition. So, that Mediterranean diet, that mind diet, they say, and I think this is a biggie for us, try to stay away from as much processed stuff as we can. Try to move, if you had a choice between them, I'm rolling my eyes right now because I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to say this. So as soon as I say this, y'all run to the grocery store and get the red raspberry, right? Because, they're the things that are pushing all the food poisoning of right now, that new parasite that's sweeping across the country. So frozen stuff, probably fresh fruit, if you know where it's coming from. The blueberries in my daddy's yard, I know where they're coming from. I know what they haven't been exposed to, right? The basil in my yard, I know what it hasn't been exposed to. The mint in y'all's beautiful, I guess that's a little herb garden outside. We know that hasn't, we know what that's exposed to, right? So usually I say fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, or frozen. Try to stay away from the canned. Go back to that plate, y'all. Half of your plate should be filled with that produce, right? Half of your plate. Some days I'm a rock star dietitian. I want to call my buddy up and say, hey, Casey, I'm a rock star dietitian. Y'all better tell all the dietitians in the country Kay Macinnis is a rock star, right? I got some purple, green, yellow, red. I got every color in the rainbow on my plate. And some nights when I go home, I'm just plain old tired Kay Macinnis, and it auto might be green. But at the end of the day, half of my meal is covered with vegetables, whether it's a salad, whether it's frozen broccoli, whether it's roasted vegetables, as much as you can, a lot of color, and, just get half of that plate filled with the vegetables. Now, carbs get a bad rap, right? But carbs are not as bad as we have been led to believe. Journey with me over to ye old Chick-fil-A. We're going to order the number one. We're going to order unsweet tea because we know that sweet tea's got a lot of sugar in there, okay? We get a good grade for that. Chad got box. I'm ordering that number one combo. That number one combo has that fried chicken sandwich, 41 grams of carb. The number two has, the second thing is those medium waffle fries. It's 45. Now, I got some ketchup and I got some Polynesian sauce. That's where I'm really racking up, right? Those little packs of ketchup, I'm going to do, I don't know, maybe 6, 3 for my sandwich, and maybe 3 for my fries, right? And that's me cutting down. That's probably, I don't know, anywhere, it's probably close to 60 grams of carb. Now, those little Polynesian sauce, y'all know what I'm talking about? That little container, like maybe a tablespoon, that's 15 grams of carb. Okay, I'm bumping, 150 grams of carbohydrate. Let me make a different choice. I'm still going to go to Chick-fil-A because I think they do good quality fast food, right? I'm going to do the grilled chicken nuggets, 2 grams of carb. I'm going to do the kale salad because I got to get some fiber in here, right? It's 13 grams of carb. Now I'm getting the small waffle fries, 35 grams of carb. I'm skipping the ketchup and the Polynesian sauce. I'm pulling out of there with 50 grams of carb, right? It's a much more doable, right? So again, this is not to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, to go home and to make every meal at home. Occasionally, when you're on the way to the beach for your vacation, you're going to stop someplace, right? Or you might stop on the way home. As long as it's not your go-to and it's something that you do every day, I think it can fit in, and you got to make mindful choices, when you're in those situations. So again, trying to figure out, how do I get that fiber in? Fiber is a really big key here, and we do a really not so good job with taking in enough fiber, right? So whatever disease we're talking about, whether it's heart disease, colon problems, diabetes, blood pressure, the cancers, everything is going back to we need to be eating more fiber. Keep your fruits and vegetables as close to natural as you can. Make sure you have the peeling on them. So my mom's from Germany, right? She makes fantastic mashed potatoes. She peels the potatoes, the whole thing, right? I make fantastic smashed potatoes. I buy the little potatoes, I parboil them. I go through lots of trouble there. I keep that peeling on, right? We sit down to dinner and she's pulling the skin out I'm looking at her sideways. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? Trying to figure out ways that we can keep the fruits and vegetables close to natural as we can. Fresh, frozen going to be your best options. Trying to make sure that you can get as much fiber as you can. How do we do that? Those vegetables, you're not going to get fiber out of protein or fat, right? So trying to make sure that you keep those vegetables on that plate, the fruits on that plate, right? So fruits are sweet, so they can drop, your blood sugar up a little bit. And if you do, there's a little bit of a recipe to this. If you guys have carbohydrate, you need to make sure you marry it with the protein. If you're in there mid-afternoon and you want something to have a little bit of peanut butter, the unsalted, the stuff that doesn't have a lot of sugar, the all-natural peanut butter mixed with some apple slices. I've got a little bit of sweet, that apple with the peel and on's got that fiber, that peanut butter is going to bring that protein. How many of you guys are doing the protein supplements? Make sure, where do these supplements come from? I always tell everybody, go back to the real thing. Almond butter, peanut butter, a little bit of cheese. Chicken salad. I'd love to say egg salad or boiled eggs. I can't do eggs too much because of my cholesterol, right? I do love an egg. A scrambled egg is not but this big, right? That's one scrambled egg. That's enough to make you mad, right? Me too. So I blend a little bit of cottage cheese up with my fork, and then I scramble it, mix it in with my scrambled eggs, and I've got a much healthier source of protein, right? So try to figure out how you guys can get more of the real food in and maybe not quite so much of the processed stuff in. It kind of scares me and worries me where all that processed stuff is coming from. So, I don't know what's the time like, y'all?
You're doing great.
One of you say that. Oh, perfect. Talk a little bit more. So we've talked about color. We talked about that plate. Lean sources of protein. So chicken and fish, and trying to get fish in at least twice a week, you guys. So tuna packed in water. The less expensive tuna is probably a little bit better option for you. It doesn't have quite as much mercury as the albacore tuna. So a tuna salad sandwich twice a week is the easiest way to get a little bit of omega-3s in there. So those omega-3s are really a good option for us. So a little tuna salad. Healthiest Southern meal that I know, salmon and grits, right? Pretty old school. Not many people do that anymore. Nice thing to have at night for dinner, or you could do it for breakfast. So the unsaturated oils like olive oil and avocado oil are probably going to be my go-tos. You guys, not far from here is the Crescent Olive. They do a great job with having a really good olive oil. It's 100% olive oil. Sometimes the olive oil at the grocery store has been adulterated with a little bit of vegetable oil in there. So they're trying to make a little bit more money, so they add a little vegetable oil, and it's not always 100% olive oil. So you got to turn that label over, right? The other thing when I'm turning the label over is I had a patient come in. They were a very lovely couple, and they came in and they said, he called me back later and he said, "You'll be so proud. We spent 6 hours at the grocery store and we wrote everything down, and my blood pressure went way up here." Like, please, because next week when you go to the grocery store, it's going to be very different. What I like to say is shop the perimeter of the grocery store. Everything that you need is on the outside aisles, right? You got to look above eye level and below eye level. You will not find the all-natural peanut butter at eye level, right? It's below eye level, or either way up here. I have to climb to get it, right? And then things like the low sodium, the salt-free mixes, right? I usually have to, those are usually at my hip, and I'm short, so they're hip level, right? So, looking above and below. And then when you're buying the stuff at the grocery store, look at the label and say, okay, I can recognize this. I can pronounce these words. If you cannot pronounce the words and you don't recognize them, you probably need to put it back on the shelf. So sourdough bread is a real big thing right now, right? So there's lots of sourdough out. And every time I go into a different grocery store, I'm looking at the sourdough here at the ticket. If you buy sourdough bread, it's white. It's okay, right? You can still have it. It's a good flavor. It's really actually has a good profile on your blood sugar, right? Or pre-diabetes, diabetes, right? And then, but you got to make sure that it's got the live culture, the sourdough culture in there, the live culture in there. You have to read that. So not every package is the same. So we all need to be looking at these packages and trying to figure out if there's, again, I think if there's more than 5 or 6 ingredients in there, if there's, words that you can't pronounce, so things that you don't recognize, I probably look for another package. I try to tell everybody when you're looking at this prepackaged stuff, look for at least 4 grams of fiber on that label, right? So try to make sure that you can get at least 4 grams. And then when it comes down under the sugar, on the very last thing under the carbohydrates, it'll say no sugars added. The number that you're going to look for is less than 10%. Now, I studied nutrition, so I would not have to do math, right? So I don't want to make this complicated. So just look for a number that's under 10%. Not everything's going to fit in there, right? And so a couple weeks ago, somebody brought me a basket full or a bushel full of peaches. I made some peach ice cream. Now, my husband will tell you nothing is the same twice at our house because I'm always trying to modify it, try to figure out a way to make it a little bit healthier, right? So there are going to be times when you're going to do something and it's going to have a little bit more sugar. Well, that's fine, right? I'm just going to balance that with that meal, right? So that's going to be a time that I'm probably going to do, I don't know, maybe grilled chicken and more broccoli. And if I knew I was having ice cream for dessert, I would probably skip that, right? So they've got these fancy little containers at the grocery store now. Those are not a serving, right? I have folks in my family that think those are a serving. Those fancy little containers, y'all. Be mindful that they're not, right? Some of the places that we go, I'm fascinated by the serving size. Chick-fil-A has that chocolate chip cookie. Cookie Crumble has that those cookies that are that big. They neglect to tell you they're 4 servings. So, when I'm at the grocery store and I'm looking at that label, I can kind of look at that label and I'm going to look at what that serving size is to see, right, where I'm supposed to be with my serving sizes. So trying to just pay a little bit of attention at the grocery store. Remember, this is what you add, not what you take away. So we want to add a little bit more fish into our diet. We want to add a lot more fiber into our diet. And we want to add a lot more color. We want to add, what else do we want to add? So we talked about fiber, we talked about fish. We add some of the seasonings. We want to add some of those recipes that Cara might talk about, some of those cooking techniques that you don't have to, you don't have to fry. You don't have to add that to everything that we do.
All right, so let's segue to practical application, right? So we've heard a lot about the science behind our nutrition. Let's talk about how do we put some of the things that we've learned today from Kay into practice at home.
Let's go to the grocery store. Do I turn this here? There we go. So, no.
Back.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the grocery store. Things you're going to look at on the labels that are like, red flags. Just stay away. Enriched, converted, any kind of dextrose, sucrose, high fructose corn syrup. That's a bad one. Hydrogenated oils. Be aware of the prepackaged meals. How many of y'all are home cooks?
What's a home? What's a
home cook? How many people cook at home at least? I'm dead again? No, I'm good. At least 5 days a week.
It's like from scratch or just, buying. Well, it's saying that so everyone knows. And there's a difference when some people take buying something and sticking it in the oven. And
Okay. Yes. Okay. How many people are cooking from scratch at home? Sometimes. Okay. I love that. That's pretty sad, but you're working for you're in church, y'all. So what I like to do is she was talking about I'm not a huge vegetable lover, okay? But I fool myself when I cook. I take a ton of vegetables, carrots, onions, garlic, zucchini, squash. I'm not on it. Hello. And I roast all those on a cookie sheet, as many vegetables as I can roast. Salt and pepper, extra virgin olive oil. Just going to roast them in the oven, 400 degrees until they look roasted. Then I'm going to put them in my food processor and I'm going to grind them all up. Going to let that cool. Then I'm going to take my protein, organic chicken breast or organic chicken thighs, put those in my processor with 2 eggs, salt, and pepper. In with the vegetables. That makes the most delicious protein ball. I do meatballs, I do chicken patties. And you are hiding that if you do not love vegetables, which I don't. But when I put them with all that and bake them in the oven, saute them in some olive oil, roast the balls, meatballs, chicken balls, anything. You can add cooked veg to anything. I have to fool myself. That's the way I do things. Avoid skipping breakfast. That is, they always say, it's the most important meal of the day. Avocado toast. Have y'all ever had that? Really, really good. Just take an avocado soft, put it on sourdough. They have a fabulous 5-ingredient sourdough at Aldi. Huge proponent of Aldi. It's got the sourdough starter in it. Plain Greek yogurt, they have a good option at Aldi. Also, with toasted almonds. Take your almonds, put them in the oven. Toast, roast. Everything in that energy ball right there has been toasted. Anytime you want to bring up a flavor of anything, toast it. Just do it in the oven. Watch your nuts. When you do things in the oven, you will burn, and they're expensive. But do that, and anytime you want to add flavor, buy organic whenever you can. For example, if you go to the store, you buy 1 organic chicken, and you're going to roast that. Salt and pepper, olive oil, throw it in the oven, roast your chicken. You're going to debone that chicken. You're going to eat that chicken throughout the week with whatever you want. You've got a nice protein source in the fridge. But you're not going to throw out the carcass. You're going to take the carcass and you're going to roast those bones. Extra virgin olive oil, put it on a cookie sheet, roast the bones. Then you're going to take those bones, you're going to cover it in water and add your aromatics. Aromatics are celery, onions, garlic, whatever kind of aromatics you like, thyme, rosemary. Make stock out of that. You're controlling your sodium. Sodium is off the charts when it comes to stock. It is off the charts. You're going to make it yourself. You're going to feel like a rock star, right? Inflammation in the body. That is the cornerstone of most disease. I have here, if anybody wants it, just come see me. It is a daily shooter, okay? Super simple. I buy all my spices, true organic spices, Amazon. They come to my front door. Perfect. So, you got 8 tablespoons of, it's turmeric, ginger, Ceylon cinnamon. Ceylon cinnamon is very important. Not all cinnamon is alike. Ceylon cinnamon has all the oils that the body needs. It's very good. A lot of people say it's very good to stay off breast cancer. And the Ceylon cinnamon is a very good option. And I also have black pepper and powdered cloves. And I shake it all up, keep it in a jar on my spice rack, 1 teaspoon and about 3 tablespoons of water, and mixy, kick it back, and it's very good for inflammation in the body. I like to grow all my own herbs. I found out that I'm kind of a gardener, and I did not know. But rosemary is one of the best things that you can grow. We're here in the hottest place in the entire world. You take your rosemary plant and you put it in the hottest place in your yard. You don't have to think about it. Next to that rosemary, you're going to plant lemon thyme, okay? Again, put it in the hottest place in your yard. Ignore it. I've grown my own basil. I love to take basil and infuse it in water. It's fantastic. Hydration is one of the most important things, and it's something that we forget. I take my little sprig of rosemary, put it down in a pretty glass bottle that I have. Pretty glass bottle that I have. And my grandchildren are like, oh, that is so pretty. That is so pretty. And I was sitting at the table drinking rosemary water with my grandchildren. My not even a 2-year-old was going, And, Clark thinks it's great because Crampy brought it and it's in a pretty bottle. But I do have, with my water infusions, let's see if I can find it. Hold on. No, hold on. Let me fold this. Thank you. But I believe hydration is so important. Well, y'all, I had everything here. I was making the attempt to look, hold on, to look organized. Where is it? OMG, where is it? Okay. In the car. I know where it is. Okay, so, now I can't see. Okay, so, ginger water. One of my favorite things ever. Go buy a thing of fresh ginger, organic. You don't even have to peel it. Throw it in your freezer. Who knows what a microplane is? A grater, okay? You take it out of the freezer. There's nothing harder than to shred ginger that's not frozen. When you shred ginger that's frozen, it turns into snow, okay? Put it in water. Give it a stir. Unbelievable. It is so good. I keep ginger in my freezer all the time. If you need a little something, and I make a lot of Asian food, I'm always getting that ginger out of the freezer, putting my ginger snow in. It's fantastic. Ginger's very good. It's a powerful anti-inflammatory. Mint, that's back here in the water, aids digestion, and it reduces cravings, so you don't have to have that sweet tea. Basil, it soothes the nervous system, and it reduces bloat. It's a great detox. Lemon thyme, which I adore, supports the immune system, and it helps respiratory function. During the winter time, if you ever have, I believe that the doctor is always my last call. So I'm always, my kids, and I was not allowed to use this phrase, but my children call me the witch doctor. But that's what they call me. And Ms. Watson said, no, we won't be doing that. I'm like, they call you that. Okay. So, but I will say that lemon thyme, you can boil your water, throw in a whole bunch of lemon thyme, because when you grow lemon thyme, you could feed a third world country with lemon thyme. I mean, and it won't die, and you can pluck some off, shut it down on the ground, you'll have a new plant right next to it. I mean, it's fantastic. Put your lemon thyme in the boiling water and let it infuse. It'll turn this really nice green color. Very good. If you're coming off a cold, flu, and you still have lots of phlegm, is that the word? Phlegm in your body, it is so helpful. So helpful at just reducing all that in your body. So that's also a fantastic thing. Avoid Teflon cookware, please, 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 please. Get you an American-made cast iron skillet, preferably vintage. Everybody's grandma probably has an extra one, Just say, can I have that? They're great for roasting. You don't have to worry about the Teflon chipping into your food. Big no-no. Extra virgin olive oil, I'm a huge proponent. That's just what I use. I check that label. I make sure it says 100% extra virgin olive oil. If it has blend on the front, extra virgin olive oil blend, move on. It just takes some turning of the hand to look at the ingredients. I'm with Kay. If you can't pronounce it, move on. Move on. Get your children involved in cooking with you. They are 110% more likely to eat it if they have helped cook it. And I know it's chaotic. But they can do like one thing. If you're going to have rosemary in that dish, let them just pick the things off of it. I mean, it'll keep them busy for about 3 minutes. And then go, thank you, Jesus. Okay. But I mean, get them involved. They will appreciate it. And we're learning how to, it's a generational thing. If we start it and our children see it, that we're not heading by the drive-through and we're not going to the Starbucks, and they'll kind of tag in, and they're watching you. They're watching you more than you know. So, one healthy choice, I'm with Kay. If you can make one healthy choice today, don't forget exercise. You need to walk at least 30 minutes a day. Strength train at least 3 times a week. You can do this at home. Get you a pair of ankle weights. You're good. But I think that's all the time we have. Thank you.
I wanted to save some time for questions if we could.
Wish you were at the wig shop.
Oh, gosh. Halloween's our favorite.
I do want to say one last thing. This is something I'm huge proponent. Who's heard of the wonders of organic castor oil? All right. Any of you ladies have breast cysts or anything like this that you're always contending with? Organic castor oil, and I use this because I had cysts in my breast. Every time I would go, come back. We got to look at this. And I was like, there's got to be an option. There's got to be something. So the past 7 years, I've been using it. I shower. I put organic castor oil on my boobs. We're all adults. And put on a T-shirt and go on about my business, okay? In 7 years, I have had 7 clear screenings. My husband had a lipoma on his neck. He's been using it. It's almost gone. It is the one oil that penetrates deepest in the body. Just make sure it's organic.
I will say from personal experience, when my mom told me about castor oil, I was like, I got to talk to my doctor about that before I put something like that on my body. But I'm serious. I've got rosacea on my face that covers my nose and parts of both sides of my face. And I will put castor oil on my face after a shower about 3 times a week. And it's brought the inflammation down, so I'm not so scaly. So maybe give it a shot. Maybe talk to your doctor, but maybe give it a shot. So first, let's give a round of applause to our... I hope that y'all have taken a couple things away from this, and that we can start this journey together, one day at a time, making simple changes that can make a big difference. But we've got about 6 minutes for questions. Francis.
Kay. Yes, ma'am. Nothing's mentioned about sprouted bread or almond milk.
So,
Sprouted bread or almond milk? I'm just repeating it so we can get it on the camera.
So I do like the sprouted bread. I have an aversion paying $9 for something this bread, right? But I do think it's better for you. It does have a little bit more fiber. You can get a version of that, the Dave's Killer bread or the Ezekiel bread. You can get a little bit better version of that at the Aldi, and it does spoil. It does go bad. Almond milk, rice milk, any of those, soy milk, any of those milks, the key factor is you've got to buy them unsweetened. Right? Remember, you guys, sugar is a major driver of the inflammation. Inflammation is going to be what drives a lot of health issues and concerns.
Is a vanilla flavoring okay?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Just plain vanilla extract, right? Okay. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
What do you think about the apps that check the labels?
I do like a lot of the apps. It depends on which one you're doing and who I'm talking to. There's so many out there. So it really depends on who I'm talking to or what their health issues and concerns are before I say one specific one. My Fitness Pal is probably the broadest generic app to go around, right? There's just so many different ones. How many of you guys are using I call them the buttons, the Libres or a Dexcom to monitor a blood sugar? I mean, they even have apps on those to help with the food choices and give you suggestions where you can take a picture of your meal. I mean, we've come so far, y'all. They take a picture of your meal. Like Snack, SNAQ is another version. You take a picture of your meal, but those are real more specific, I think, for people that have diabetes. Yes, sir.
What do you think about vitamins and supplements? And if you like them, which ones do you recommend?
Nature Valley is probably across the board. It's one that's pretty reliable. Typically, I tell most people, if you're following that plate method and you're getting those vegetables and those fruits in and their color and you're leaving them as close to, as close to natural as you can, you probably don't need a multivitamin. If you're one of my folks that don't like vegetables, then you probably want to back up with a multivitamin.
They are all on sale right now at CVS on Vine Street.
If you can eat any fruits, I really like fruit. Really, because I eat too much.
What happens?
Can I just clarify? Like you talk about sugar, but you're not talking about natural sugar that's in.
I'd rather see you guys do natural sugar. So like for dessert, I would way rather see you say, "Hey, I'm going to have a bowl of fruit for dessert." I'm like, "Ooh, sign me up. I want one too." And that's where I'm going to have blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. I know I'm worried about raspberries.
Watermelon?
No. No. Yeah. So a serving of watermelon, make me a fist. Like a fist.
No, don't say that.
That's what's recommended as a serving of watermelon, right? Yeah. Shit. So one of the things that I do at my house is I love fruit. I bought some cherries yesterday, right? Cherries are great for the tart cherries, not the sweet cherry juice that Trader Joe has. That tart cherry juice that Trader Joe has, an ounce a day is supposed to be really beneficial for arthritis. I mean, at these major schools where they have big football programs, and I'm not a football person, y'all, but the big ones, right? The Big Ten, right? They have been doing research for years on the benefit of those tart cherry juices and how they start feeding those athletes when they're come to, their freshman year, they'll start it on the tart cherry juice. So, I mean, one of the things I love to do with that kind of stuff, whether it's watermelon, berries, cherries, is I freeze it because it slows me down. I could eat a whole little bag, like the bag of cherries I bought yesterday. I could eat the whole bag, but they're frozen grapes, right? It slows me down. And that's the name of my game, is how do I slow myself down? Because I can easily get too much of that kind of stuff.
So eating too much fruit.
Well, you can end up with an upset stomach. You can end up, so we don't, and if we do fruit, depending on where you are, guys, we always say add a little protein to that. So, like one of my doctors I work with, and she heard me say one of my patients do grapes with cheese, and she was like, I've never heard of that before. She grew up in Venezuela, right? And I was like, well, it's pretty common, and you can see that at the grocery store. I mean, you pull in the gas station, you go in there, the snack thing, they got grapes and cheese, right? So carbohydrate and protein.
Try strawberries and feta.
Yeah.
Some mashed potato in the oven.
Balsamic.
With a little bit of balsamic vinegar.
Will you share your recipe for the?
Oh, of course. I can tell you right now, it is
Once Upon a Chef. Just go to that website, Jen Seagal, and the energy. It's a no bacon debate. So it's Once Upon a Chef, Jen Seagal.
We're going to do one more question right here.
You were mentioning about tart cherry juice. For those of us that are not able to drink straight tart cherry juice, what's something we can dilute it, or not dilute, to like mix it with, to be able to better drink it? Because I know it's helpful, but
Okay, I got a really good one now, right? My husband says this tastes like battery acid. I look at him and I'll say, now, how do you know what battery acid? So the unsweetened, sparkling, like LaCroix, my friend says, you Southern, you say it right, LaCroix. Those things are good, right? There is one sugar substitute, like stevia, or two really, stevia and monk fruit, that are plant-based. All the other pink, yellow, blue packages come out of somebody's chemical bench, right? So they are plant extracts, the stevia and the monk fruit. Zevia, Z-E-V-I-A, is one of the sparkling that's got a little bit of sugar sub, the stevia in there. You can mix a little tart cherry juice in there to make it, I have to just gun it. In Cara's words, I just have to gun it. I put a little bit in the glass. Shoot it. Yeah.
All right, you're out of time, y'all. Thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to seeing you next year.